1, the pads are on. 49ers first pad practice of training camp. And number 2, obviously it's the guy standing to my right, 49ers general manager John Lynch. John, thank you so much for taking the time to come hang out with us. I know usually you're on the field back here, but we got to peel you off and get you in front of camera for a little bit.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. And, I think only appropriate to do it to the fans that aren't here as well. We started today with a moment of silence for the folks down in Gilroy and everybody affected by the horrific tragedy. I heard about that as I was going home last night. And, I think even in a time like this where you're so excited in training camp and the expectations of a new season, putting pads on for the first day, football players are people too. They have families.
Absolutely.
And so Kyle did a tremendous job addressing our team this morning. And we felt like it was appropriate to do that with our fans. So I know this whole community is hurting. We often offer up our condolences, our prayers, and we have your backs.
Absolutely. Our thoughts and prayers are with everyone that was affected by this tragedy. But again, John, thank you so much for joining us. We got you back in front of camera again. How's it feel? Are you feeling pretty natural right here? Is this your element?
I did this for a long time, so it's fun. But I'm having more fun doing this.
Absolutely. So let's get off camera and let's let everybody see what's going on behind us right here as we watch 49ers training camp. We can come right over here, John. Got a good vantage point over here. So speaking of being in front of camera, I got a preview of Brick by Brick. 49er Studios does an incredible job kind of peeling back that curtain of yourself, Kyle Shanahan, what goes on behind the scenes. And in the opening scene, you're driving into work, and I'm not going to tell too much because fans got to watch it. Airs this Wednesday. But in the opening scene, you're getting in your car and you're saying that this is your 16th training camp. And you had to give a disclaimer. I'll let everyone find out about this disclaimer. But how do you think that training camps have kind of evolved since you were a player?
Well, 16th as a player, right. I did 16. Mm-hmm. Now this is number 3 in the general manager role. I will never pay disrespect to these players to say that this is easy, because it's not. But I promise you, it was a lot harder back then. You just practiced more. You went to double days. I was thinking yesterday with Kyle, can you imagine in the old days, we were coming back on, we were going into meetings, we were going back on the field right now. And so it's just different. It's probably a lot smarter. It is a lot smarter for our players in terms of keeping them at optimal health and also peaking at the right time. But you just practiced a lot more. You were in pads a lot more. But we're going to have a physical camp. Today's the first day in practice. Right now you see the guys kind of going through some walkthrough of special teams period. And then we'll head into the individual period and get right into the offense and defensive team periods. And this is always, I can tell you from being a player, an exciting day for the players. You've been in, basketball on the grass, shirts and T-shirts all off season, and we play the game in pads. And so players don't necessarily love having pads on all the time. They love it today, though, because it's exciting to get on and think about what players do for a living, and that's block people, tackle people. So it'll be a good day.
You just talked about it. Guys have pads on. Intensity goes up. Things are faster. You're seeing who's carrying over those techniques from spring, but what are you specifically looking for when you see players with their pads on here at camp?
Well, we in Tampa when I was there, our facility was called One Buck, and there used to be this term, and it wasn't a great one to have hung on you, One Buck All-American, and that meant that you could look really good in shirts and T-shirts, but not everyone can translate that to when you put the pads on. And like I said, that's how you play the game, with pads on. And so you like to see the people. That's the cool thing about this. There's always another evaluation period. This is another one of those. And to see who can handle the physicality of this game, the mental toughness of things hurting all the time. Your body is not calloused right now to get ready for this. The only way to get it calloused is to actually do it. And so you've got to go through some of the hitting, and Kyle does a great job. We do a lot of it in training camp, and then we take it off our players in the regular season for the most part. But we want to have a physical camp because you have to have that callus, and it's really controlled by the collective bargain agreement and what we're doing now with our new health and performance team in terms of getting the reps right and the right amount of reps to get you ready for a season, but also keep our team healthy and peaking at the right times.
So I don't know about you, but I check my Twitter inbox, and it's just tons of questions pouring in. How is Nick Bosa doing? How is D Ford doing? Now, it's still early. Again, this is the first padded practice of training camp. But I want to talk about, just from the guys being in the building, has there been anything that's jumped off the page, whether that's on the field or off the field, about two of those guys right there?
Well, we thought, I think great players have an ability, have the quality to make those around them better, not only be great themselves. And that's what we felt. I mean, we felt that we started with D Ford with that trade in free agency period, and we felt like that's something we've been missing, a true edge presence. And we've had really good players there, but an edge presence that can win on a consistent basis. And D won as much as anybody in the league last year from the edge, and then we felt we needed a complement of that in the draft, and we were fortunate that a guy like Nick Bosa, a dominant player in the college game that we felt translated very well to the NFL, was there. But the byproduct of that, not only are we going to get that edge pressure, I think that's really going to open up things for the DeForest Buckners, the Eric Armsteads, the Solomon Thomases, the Kentavious Streets. All those guys were deep there, and we want to come at people in waves. Another addition is our defensive line coach, Chris Kasarik. He's doing a tremendous job really maxing these guys' talents and abilities out. So it's going to be a fun group. I like to understate everything, but we got so many resources there. We expect those guys to wreak havoc on this league, and that's a big part of winning football in today's football. They throw so much. You got to be able to hit and knock down the quarterback.
That was probably my favorite line. You had an opening press conference at the start of training camp, and it was that D-line, you want them to wreak havoc, and that really stood out. But you mentioned a guy who I wanted to talk about. It was my first time seeing Chris Kasarik at practice, and I'm trying to think of a good term to use to describe him. Vocal, I don't really think that does it. I can't really put my finger on that exact word, but that guy is special. He had me. I'm not on the field, but I'm ready to run through a wall just listening to him.
I'd say passionate. He loves the game, and he loves everything about, what coaches are, the best coaches. Bill Walsh used to talk about it all the time. They're great teachers, and so sometimes I think people come here and think like he's a pro wrestling act. He's full of energy. But believe me, it's a lot deeper than that. And I think that's what people will get to know. He's an excellent football coach. I think having a coach at that position who's as good as it gets in this league, and that's why when he became available, we pounced. And it took a lot of convincing because a lot of teams wanted him. But we got him, and we're sure happy to match him with the incredible amount of ability and players that we have at that position.
Absolutely. You're listening to the live look in here at 49ers camp at the SAP Performance Facility. 49ers General Manager John Lynch here joining us. So if we go back 2 years ago, you're overhauling a roster. You're filling multiple holes. Same thing a year ago. You have some pieces, but you're still working things around to fit your idea, what you have for this team. But this year, roster continues to come together. How much do you feel that you're getting closer? Because, a GM's job is never done.
Yeah.
But how much closer do you feel entering into year 3 to having that roster that you kind of envisioned?
Well, listen, here's what we know, both in frontline players, what we call finishers, game changers, the D Fords, the Nick Bosas. We think Tevin Coleman has some of that ability. Jet McKinnon will get back on the field. We re-signed Joe Staley, just a cornerstone of this franchise, the heart and soul, because Joe's a game changer the way he plays the game. And so when you talk about all those top-line players, Richard Sherman, we feel like is going to be a lot closer to health than the guy that we've all seen in this league. So when you get game-changing players throughout your roster, but then you add to the depth, it feels a lot better. Now, is it a complete roster? No one is in this league. It's always fluid. You're always trying to improve, and it's a challenge once you get really good to keep people around, and we got to prove that we are good. We haven't done anything. We've won 10 games in 2 years, and that's not good enough, and we understand that. But we are excited that this year we're going to have a chance to really win a lot of football games because of what I talked about in our roster, both in the number of game-changing players that you need in this league, and then the depth such that there are going to be injuries. Hopefully we'll be a lot better off in that respect, but there are going to be injuries. That just comes with this territory. How do you respond? And we think we're better equipped to do that this year.
You're talking about depth. Coming into camp, I would say for myself, one of the most intriguing battles is at wide receiver this offseason. You guys brought in Jordan Matthews, probably the most decorated behind Marquise Goodwin. amongst a very young wide receivers group. Actually, I was saying that Jordan Matthews, everything that comes his way, he comes down with it, except yesterday Richard Sherman with that PBU. But what do you want to see out of this young, talented receivers group you've got?
They can't act young. I mean, that's not an excuse. We've got rookies in Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd who are going to have to earn their opportunities, but expect them to do just that and be a big part of what we're doing. You put them, Dante Pettis has to take that jump. We believe that his ability is limitless, and and when he continues to push and break through, he can go from good to great. And guys like Jordan Matthews. One of the cool things about this offseason has been Trent Taylor coming back from back surgery last year and never really being right. He looks really good.
He looks fast.
He looks fast. He looks quick. He's separating all the things that the reason we drafted him. So we're excited about this group and really feel like it can be a strength of our team.
Another position group I wanted to highlight, which I know there's a lot of questions, is who starts opposite Richard Sherman? Jason Verrett got full team reps yesterday, looking good. DJ Reed back at his college position at outside corner. But we also have Akella Witherspoon, who had a nice day yesterday with the PBU and the camp's first interception, right? So what do you want to see out of this cornerback group?
Well, I think you just mentioned the word interception. We didn't have enough of those, and
right.
We believe that goes hand in hand with the pass rush. But those guys, when they have their opportunities, which you got to make, which Akello did, you got to cash in, and you got to pay that great effort up front, and that's what our expectation is. I think Akello we're extremely high on. He's continuing to develop as a player. He'll have competition this year, and Jason Verrett is a guy, little risk reward opportunity this offseason. He struggled in his 4-year career staying healthy, but when healthy, he's been one heck of a player. And I think we've done tremendous work kind of taking a look at his body and how we can help him. And he's embraced it, worked incredibly hard. We're really excited about adding a guy like that, and the potential reward could be huge. And, it keeps going on. Guys like Tim Harris, a 6th-round pick, he's shown some flashes. He's going to have to prove he can do it consistently. But I think in the end, we really feel strong about that group.
We're winding down to the final minutes of this live look-in with 49ers General Manager John Lynch. We did get some fan questions in. Wanted to run some of those past you. Christian Diaz wants to know, what are your personal goals for the 2019 season?
I want to give championship effort every day. I think we ask our players to get better every day. And if everyone takes that mindset to get better every day, what happens is you stack days, and then collectively you'll ultimately be the best. And that's what we want to be here. That's our goals, to win championships. And we're not going to talk a lot about when we're going to do that, but we want championship effort on a daily basis. That's what I expect from our organization, from my staff, and that's what if you're going to ask for it, you better bring it yourself. And so that's what I expect to bring every day.
There you go. Thad Allen wants to know, what has been your most valuable lesson you've learned so far now entering into year 3?
Gosh, there's lessons every day, and it's just like as a player. When I reported to training camp in Denver for year 16, the coolest thing about this game, about life really, is that you never stop having the opportunity to get better. And so here I am in year 3 in a new role, and I think we're getting better at our processes each and every day. There's so many lessons. But I think I'm proud of what we've been able to build. Now we have to pay it off with winning games.
That's right. I was talking to someone the other day, and it kind of popped up in our conversation. You have 2 kind of homecomings coming up this year. We have joint practices in Denver, and we also face your former team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in week 1. That's going to be some exciting times for you, will it not? Yeah,
it will be. Those are 2 great organizations. I think back to when I was playing. I used to have to play against my brother-in-law twice a year. He was in our division in Chicago. I was in Tampa. I played strong safety. He played tight end. So I'm familiar with kind of competing against people that you love, and it kind of makes you want to beat them even more.
Right.
So, we'll get with Denver, though, it's a great opportunity to get tremendous work. It's an organization that we really respect. Obviously, what John Elway's built, they've won championships. Vic Fangio is an excellent football coach. Kyle Shanahan, myself, and he are very we have, I think, mutual respect. And so I think we'll work together as teams to get better. And, and then in the regular season, we're trying to win football games. So, yes, it's returning to Tampa, but that's all about going there and bringing home a win.
As much as we would like to steal you for the remainder of practice, you got a job to do. We got to let you go. But, John, thank you so much for spending the time with the Live Look. And it's been a blast. And have a great camp.
All right, let's go. Go Niners. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was 49ers General Manager John Lynch here for your